Hello again, it's Phil Smy, and welcome to another step in my in-depth review of the Tai Lopez Business Entrepreneur Accelerator program. This time, step number 7. And finally we get to that all-important question that you really should know by now if you're 7 steps in, and that is, what business should I be doing? And okay, maybe I'm being a little flippant, it's not so easy to know what business you should be in, and hopefully Tai will give us some answers in this lesson. Right off the bat, Tai starts in with his perhaps favorite anecdote of this series, and that is the plane crashing in the jungle, and one group of people sharpens their machetes that happened to be on the plane, I guess, and start chopping, and another group goes up the tree and tells them, no, you should be chopping in that direction over there. And whereas that is really an anecdote about strategy versus tactics, Tai says also it's about this other thing, which is a very, very true adage that I first heard, I think, quite some time ago, but I remember it being in Peter Thiel's book 0 to 1 as well, that there's nothing worse in life than becoming good at the wrong thing. And that is, we have some strengths, and I actually think that most people are equal. Maybe you have some aptitude or whatever, but I think most people have strengths, same kind of strengths, but we develop those strengths, and we've all gone off in different paths. So you need to identify your strengths. Tai has a few other videos about how to do that, and one of the things is, like, what did you do, when you were 10 years old? What have you been doing for the last 10 years? These kinds of things, what's your experience? And some of us have a lot of strengths, and some of us have few, and there's nothing wrong with either. And, he says, but it's important to play to your strengths. And another favorite anecdote of his is the story about Michael Jordan. I mean, Michael Jordan, was a great basketball player, and then he tried for some reason to play baseball, and his athletic prowess, of course, was the same. His strength in that area was the same, but his body was not right for baseball. He had a pretty big strike zone. So, there we go. That's a little bit about how to choose or know what your strengths are. But the next thing is talking about the difference between an industry and a product. And I'm not too happy with Tai's explanation of this, but I'm going to go through it anyway. He talks about, you have this target, and at the center of your target is your goal. Maybe it's to be rich, maybe it's to change the world, maybe it's whatever it is, I don't know. And you can zoom out around that, and create like a bullseye, or a target like in archery or darts or whatever. And this area around the target is really your industry. You have to choose what industry you're in, and perhaps your industry, he talks about, mobile apps being an industry, or, paper products being an industry, or manufacturing being a kind of industry. And you have to stay within that general area and shoot more arrows at the target, basically, and the arrows are your product. And this target area is what Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett call your circle of competence, and other people refer to it like that as well. The more you take shots in your circle of competence, the stronger you become. Whether those shots hit the mark or not is slightly irrelevant, because a lot of the factors might be out of your hands. But the thing is, don't switch targets. If you take 20 shots and it doesn't work, don't go to another target. That's switching industries, switching focus, and don't do that lightly. It's a very significant, serious decision, and it cuts out a lot of your strength, a lot of your experience and your expertise, whether you believe you have it or not, because you think, oh, I'm a failure, I don't have any expertise. You probably do. You're just not focusing it right. And that's where this whole 10,000 hours things come in. If you change your target, you've got to start again. 10,000 hours, which is like 7 to 15 years of your life. You know, and I'm speaking from experience here. You know, I'm an expert. My strength is switching targets. And I've paid dearly for that. I really have. Maybe I'll go into that in some other video. But yeah. So Tai talks about his circle. And his circle is knowledge-based businesses, because he says he doesn't like to use the word education because education has bad connotations. I'm not quite sure about that. So, you know, that's what he does. He works in knowledge-based businesses, and he focuses and shoots more arrows at the target. Good for him. And he also addresses this thing, you know, you think you might have infinite choices. And you know, we live in a world of choices. And we're told that we have infinite choices, but the truth is we don't. Because success comes from our strengths, you know. And your skills can't always be applied to a new industry. You think, oh, I've learned this, and I can take all that and put it into a new industry. Rarely does that work. Again, look at Michael Jordan, baseball and basketball. And Google. I mean, forget about Michael Jordan for a second. Look at Google. I mean, Google has tried and failed at many things. Need I say Google Plus, you know? Tai says that they're experts in search engines. I would disagree. I don't necessarily think that's Google's strength. Google are experts in AI, you know, and applying this kind of machine learning and artificial intelligence to things like search engines is where they have great success. And email, to be honest, is where they have great success. And in things like social network, not so much. So, yes. So there's lots of room within this single industry. You know, if you say your industry is real estate, wow, I mean, real estate, there's a lot of areas. Even if you go down more than that, you know, if your area of expertise is making glass windows, you know, I happen to know somebody who's like this, and there's a guy in Osaka here in Japan, and his focus is making glass windows for skyscrapers, and he's a very, very wealthy man. I mean, he did make glass windows for other things, but he found out there was this niche for, you know, tall buildings, office buildings, and the specialized glass that they need, and that's all he makes. And it took him quite some time to get to there. You know, so there you go. And if you are unsure what industries there are in this world, Tai suggests Googling the U.S. government industry list, and I'll save you some time. It's at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And it's a pretty crappy list, to be honest, but it might give you some ideas. But I think you probably know, if you're watching this, you already have some idea. And I think a lot of people start with a product, and what I would say is if you think you have this product, step back and say, what's actually the industry? Like for myself, I build kind of like software as a service websites, subscription-based service websites. And that is a huge area. I mean, I can apply that to many different things. But that's what I've kind of learned is my skill. So that's it. Hopefully this helped you think about what your business is. And here's Tai's 3 questions. Question number 1. When were you working outside your circle of competence, and how did you know? Number 2, do you think right now you're working inside your circle of competence? And of course, number 3, which perhaps should be number 1, what do you think your circle of competence is? Like I said, mine I think is, you know, creating these subscription-based software as a service networks. God, that's boring, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, that's it for step number 7. What business should you be in? I'm Phil Smythe. This is part of my in-depth review of the Tai Lopez Business Accelerator program. We'll see you soon for step number 8.